Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Brief. In spite of nationwide lockdowns, the smell of barbecue and charcoal still fills the air in Israel as the 72nd Independence Day has passed. And all over the country, citizens have been celebrating from home.
Greetings from Jerusalem, our eternal and undivided capital. Today we celebrate Israel's 72nd Independence Day. We celebrate Israel's remarkable democracy.
But while most Yom Haatzmaut holiday traditions have been canceled amidst the coronavirus pandemic, many others had simply been modified. A mobile DJ float could be heard driving through the city of Haifa, for example, allowing people to party together but separately from their balconies. And the annual official torch-lighting ceremony had been pre-recorded and held without an audience, and the military flyovers across the country had been limited to just 4 stunt planes, which flew over hospitals in a salute to Israel's medical professionals.
אנו מאחלים לכם ולכל אזרחי מדינת ישראל בריאות איתנה וחג עצמאות שמח.
Still, not everyone was respecting the rules for social distancing. Police have handed out nearly 1,400 fines for violations of the curfew or anti-gathering directives. But meanwhile, the general lockdown for the holiday had been lifted by 8 p.m. Wednesday, allowing grocery stores and select other businesses to open. And now more directives are being lifted. In spite of the eased restrictions following the holiday, however, Israelis are still urged to follow social distancing and mask-wearing rules.
שבשנה הבאה, בעזרת השם, נשים את הזום בצד, ניפגש כולנו יחד ונחבק איש את רעהו. ועד אז, אזרחי ישראל, שמרו על עצמכם, הניפו דגל ביום העצמאות, שמחו במדינה שלנו.
Very exciting news. For the first time since the onset of the coronavirus pandemic in Israel, the total number of people who have recovered from the virus has exceeded the number of active patients. 15,870 people and counting have now been diagnosed with the coronavirus in the state of Israel. That's 88 more cases within the last 24 hours alone, which means a downward trend in new infections is continuing. The death toll has now risen to 219, with 4 more passing away since last night. The Israeli Health Ministry says that 117 Israelis are currently in serious condition with coronavirus, 85 of which are on ventilators, and 79 are in moderate condition. But the good news is that over 8,400 people have now recovered from the virus. And even better, the 11-year-old Israeli girl from Tiberias that's been in serious condition with complications from COVID-19 has now seen some improvement. Tests have shown that she no longer has the virus and her overall condition has gotten better. Well, as the infection rate goes down across the country, though, more restrictions are being rolled back. As of 8 a.m. today, Israelis exercising outdoors are no longer barred from going more than 500 meters from their homes, and sports can be done freely. Citizens still aren't allowed to go more than 100 meters from their homes, though, except for essential activities. But that rule will likely be removed by next week, according to police. And swimming in the sea and going to the beach is still prohibited, although it will be re-examined today, and the reopening of movie theaters is also in discussion. In related news, the Knesset has now approved of the Shin Bet Security Service's continued surveillance of coronavirus carriers. And the Patient Watch program has now been extended to Tuesday, May 5th. But this decision comes less than a week after the High Court of Justice shut down the program as it's without supporting legislation. The use of Israel's surveillance capabilities on Israelis has been controversial from the start. Critics viewed the plan as a government-attempted power grab, especially as the surveillance meant to track terror suspects does not have Knesset oversight, because it had been approved using emergency regulations rather than passing a law. So the courts have now ruled that the tracking must stop by today unless a law is passed. But the Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee then has extended the plan just long enough to give the government time to discuss the matter. So now Prime Minister Netanyahu is scheduled to discuss the issue Sunday at the weekly cabinet meeting. And there they will decide whether or not to start legislation or give up the project altogether. Israel has seen yet another suspected terror attack this week, just a day after a 62-year-old woman was stabbed by a Palestinian teenager in the Israeli town of Kfar Saba. According to police, a Palestinian driver crashed his car into a West Bank checkpoint on Wednesday evening in an attempt to run down security officials. Instead, though, the man drove his vehicle into a concrete block at the Rehain checkpoint, which is just near Jenin. And officers on the ground have now arrested him, saying that he told investigators that he, quote, wanted to die. That's all for now, but for more news from Israel, remember to like ILTV on Facebook and on Instagram, and to subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.